Alright guys, today I wanted to make a video about who will finish in the Premier League's top six, because we are now approaching the Premier League season. In fact, it begins I say next Friday, a week next Friday. So how many days is that? That's 13 days. So we're really not far away now. And teams have probably done the majority of their transfer business, especially the top teams, because they always look to get it done early on in the window. So I'm going to count it down from sixth to first. So start off in sixth position. I'm going to go with Manchester United. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Manchester United are going to improve under Eric Ten Hag, but the problem with Manchester United is basically how the club is run as a whole, not just on the pitch. So I think it's going to take 2 or 3 years until we see Manchester United properly competing again. And by that I mean not just competing for top four, but like being within a shout of winning trophies. Like they might still win a trophy next season, who knows, a League Cup or something. But I don't see them getting top four next season, although I do think they will be much improved. In fact, I think all the big six teams next season, there's not many of them who look very weak right now. Fifth place, I've gone with Arsenal. And the reason I've gone with Arsenal is because they did very well last season with a young side, and obviously everyone in that side is going to have another year's experience, which can only help them. However, they've made some good signings this summer with Gabriel Jesus coming in. That's definitely going to be a good signing, and Alexander Zinchenko as well. However, with I think a lot of this depends on how players who are coming in, like William Saliba and Fabio Vieira, how they perform, because Vieira is being signed from the Portuguese league, which has produced some good players in the past couple of years, such as Ruben Diaz, Luis Diaz, any other player I can think of called Diaz maybe. Um, Edison as well. Like there's been a few good players come from the Portuguese league. Bruno Fernandes as well, but it's still a bit of a gamble with him. And Saliba, again, he's had a few decent seasons in the French league now, yet to make an Arsenal appearance yet, but it depends on how he performs, really, because their defence still isn't the strongest, I don't think, and I don't think they're intending on playing Zinchenko at left back for the majority of the time. Like, obviously, he can fill in now. He did an excellent job there at Man City, but I think that he's more to play in the midfield three, or midfield three. Um, so yeah, with Arsenal, I think it'll be close, but not quite top four again. And then fourth, I've gone with Chelsea. Now, the reason I've gone with Chelsea is because I've seen a lot of people predicting them to finish outside the top four this year. I think that's a bit harsh, because a lot of people are claiming, obviously, they don't have a defence. Well, that's not quite true. They have just signed Kalidou Koulibaly, still got Thiago Silva, who, the way he plays, I can't see him falling off a cliff next season. I think he'll still be very good, even if maybe, I don't know, declines a little bit compared to last couple of seasons. And they've still got young players as well, like Trevor Chalobah, Levi Colwill to come in as well. Malang Sarr, if they can improve him a little bit. So they've still got quite a few centre backs, and they're also apparently on the verge of signing Jules Koundé, who will be a very good option to have in that right centre back slot, and still have Azpilicueta as far as I know. So they've got defenders, and also signing Raheem Sterling. I mean, Sterling is one of the most consistent Premier League players there is. He's done it like week in, week out, year on year for probably a decade now, nearly. Yes, yeah, it is a decade now. 2012 was his breakthrough year at Liverpool. So that's only going to help them. However, you could argue that outside of that, they haven't really signed anyone else. But do they really need to? They've still got like solid midfield options with Conor Gallagher coming back as well, Armando Broja maybe. Still, it isn't yet to go out on loan or leave the club yet. So they've got a lot of options. Um, so it's just whether they can glue it all together a bit better this year, because I felt towards the end of last year there was a bit of a disconnect between all of their attacking players like Havertz and Mount alongside Werner or Pulisic. It just wasn't working quite how they wanted to. However, a big miss for them last season was not having, Chilwell, who will return next season, and Reece James for large parts of the season. So maybe they can get a third spot, but I'm going to put them in fourth now, because in third I've got Tottenham, whose transfer business has impressed me. And I'll be honest, it's not even the ones they've been constantly like. It's more the transfers they've made that have gone under the radar that have impressed me more. So, like they've still got Hugo Lloris in goal. I think this might be one of his last seasons at Tottenham now. He's in his mid-30s. They're going to have to look at replacing him sooner rather than later. They've brought Fraser Forster in as backup as well, just in case. It still shows he's a good goalkeeper at Southampton. They've signed two new wing backs in Perisic and, as everybody now knows, Jed Spence. But I think out of the two, Perisic is the one I'm more positive for Spurs about. I think he will be an excellent addition to the squad, because he's just like that good, and he's done it for that long now in that many different situations. He's done it for Croatia on the international stage, Inter Milan in Italy, Bayern Munich in Germany, Wolfsburg in Germany as well. I think, was it Wolfsburg? I think it was Wolfsburg. So like a very experienced player who is still playing to a good level. Yves Bissouma in midfield, that is a quality signing, I think. Richarlison, I'm not too sure about still. I don't think it'll be a bad signing, but I don't think that he's worth 60 million. I think if they'd have got him for 40, maybe that had been a good deal, but I think they did overpay for him. So yeah, I'm not so sure about that. But like the front three they've already got, I wouldn't be too worried about that. If I was a Spurs fan, he's going to be a backup option with Kulusevski, Kane, and Son, as well as Lucas Moura as well potentially. And in midfield now, they've also got a few options. They've got Bentancur, Bissouma, who else they've got? Højbjerg, obviously, who, I mean, everybody was raving about a year ago. I mean, he's still obviously a very good backup option. Skip to come back from injury. I think he was injured for a lot of last season. And that basically their wing backs who played last season, who still played all right, are backup options now and are capable backup options. So that's good. So they've got a good all round squad. They've also brought in Clement Longley in defence, so that's another defensive option. So they've just got a much better squad basically. So I think they will do better this season than last. And then second, I've gone with Liverpool. Now this hurts me to say as a Liverpool fan, but they've improved their squad, I think, with Nunez and Carvalho especially. Calvin Ramsey, we're still yet to see how much game time he will get, because he's actually been injured all of pre-season so far, so we haven't had a chance to have a look at him yet. However, obviously the loss of Sadio Mane could impact Liverpool. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Liverpool do. It's a different front three to the front three where Liverpool had at the start of last season. And I also just think Man City bringing in Haaland, I mean, that's just a new dimension to their attack as well. Even if Haaland somehow doesn't work out, they've still got pretty much the same team they had last year, haven't they, really? So, I mean, they're missing Sterling and Jesus and Zinchenko, but were they really in the starting 11 last year? I would argue most of the time not really. So yeah, Man City are my favourites to win the league next season, and as you'll have gathered from this video by now, I haven't picked any outside the traditional top six, which I don't like using because there's no big six, is there? Like well, there is, but like I just don't like it. I like thinking going into a season anything's possible. Do you know what I mean? But it's unlikely, isn't it? The only teams I can really see pushing for it is if like Graham Potter can somehow do something amazing at Brighton, if Leicester can come back from last season, although they haven't signed anybody yet in the transfer market. Newcastle, if some of their new signings can hit the ground running, and maybe West Ham as well. So there's not really anyone who I'm looking at thinking they're going to break into the big six this season. So yeah, that's my prediction for the top six. I think Man City are going to win the league just purely because of how they've strengthened their squad, and yeah, I did like if people can argue they've got rid of Sterling and Jesus, who are two very good players, but they've also brought in Haaland and Alvarez, two very good young players who are only going to get better, and also have brought in Calvin Phillips as well, and are looking like they might bring in Marc Cucurella as well. So just like the transfers are just too much, I think, and they will win the league, possibly the Champions League next season. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.